Hi everybody, I hope you all are doing well. Welcome to everyone. Today is going to be a video that's going to be continuing the series of videos that I've been doing on healing. Today, and this is the super important one, and it's kind of funny how I wrote like little notes on some of the main topics that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't really plan it. And the way it's working out is, the universe has been having me deal with some of my own things. So literally I'm going through these things, and then that's like my message. It's like every time I go through something, I heal something, or I deal with something, I get a message that later that day, I'm not kidding you guys, or the next day, to share what I learned. And this is something that I've dealt with before, but I will be honest, never in the way that I have dealt with it yesterday. We could say yesterday. It's been an ongoing thing. It's kind of like, and we'll get into it. But the topic for today is dealing with challenges and obstacles, which we all face. Everybody does. Even those that are avoidant. If some people, and it's fine for everybody. It's one thing we have to respect. Sometimes we want to help people if we can see something very clearly because we've been through it. But at the end of the day, we have to be the example, but be respectful of someone else's path that they are on and the place that they are on. Some people are not ready to face things or to do healing. Everyone has their own time, their own path to walk. And this is super important. And it's a big lesson for me as well because I'm a fixer, right? That's typical Aquarian. I like to help, to fix. If someone is struggling with something, I want to help them with it. I want them, if they're sad about something, I want to cheer them up. It is in our nature for most of us, for many of us, I will say, to be in that fixer mode where we just want to help. If there's a problem, we want to fix it. And one of the big reminders for me is really stay focused on myself and the things that I need to fix in myself, the healing that needs to be done in myself, and to not sort of not put myself into someone else's situation unless I'm invited into it, to be respectful and mindful of their path and their pace that they're going at. Because again, our paths are all different. So it's a good lesson for me in dialing back my fixer, my fixer mentality. So anyway, on to our topic of dealing with challenges and obstacles that come to everybody. And I did write a few little notes here. So one of the big things is to identify what the challenge or the obstacle is, because sometimes we might be in a mode of we are not really seeing what it is. We might be attempting to do something or to move forward in some way, and that's not really happening. And many times it's because we are not really, and in my case, definitely, I was not identifying what the true obstacle or challenge was. So, and that's one of my notes here, identify what or where the obstacle came from, or is it attached, or what it is attached to. So we kind of have to look at it and see, okay, what is the obstacle? Excuse me for sniffing, guys. It's so much sinuses right now. But it's so beautiful outside. It's 70 degrees. You can see it's like a spring day. I'm just loving it. It's worth the little sniffles. Some questions that we can ask ourselves is it God blocking, or the universe, whomever, it is that you look to as your creator? Are you being blocked? Is the answer no about something? Is that for your own protection or benefit? Or is it divine timing at work in your life? Is there a lesson to learn in order to overcome something specific? And that's kind of a big one usually. It's important for us to kind of stay on our path and see if we need to change something, because sometimes when these things come up, I know that some people, and sometimes for me, I would start second guessing myself instead of trusting my intuition and thinking, okay, I need to make a major big change. Sometimes that is the case, but a lot of times it's not. Sometimes it's something within ourselves that we have to deal with and generally heal, which is why this is part of our healing series video. Another question that's good to ask is the challenge a test or a message to review what you are doing and if changes need to be made internally or externally in your life? Because some of our challenges have to do with both, right? There are changes we need to make inside and then external. The way it usually works is we have that internal change, right? And then it is reflected externally. But many times there may be something that we need to do, steps to take to bring that change forward, okay? Use intuition and discernment to overcome the situation, right? Don't just react. Realize it is temporary and a lesson to be understood. Seek guidance for moving forward and don't allow emotions to overtake you. So I can tell you from my experience, and I'm funny with myself because I'll get into my peaceful zone, which is where I like to stay most of the time. Just stay in that light of love, just unconditional love and peace. And you don't really get triggered much by external forces when you are in that place. However, if there are things that need to be healed or dealt with, those emotions are going to bubble up like a little fountain. So I had a situation where, and this is pretty recent, I had an obstacle to overcome. And I will tell you that initially, and again, it goes back to, for many of us that are on the healing journeys, and it's a lot all the time, right? Especially when you've come through a lot, you've done a lot of healing, you get to a place where you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure I've dealt with, all the major things. I'm ready to move forward to this next step. You do the next thing. And then if you can feel, like intuitively, I could feel like the obstacle, I could literally feel it. And I just was like, I can't figure this out. So I need to stop trying to use my mental force, right? And I need to just sit with myself and let my intuition show me, let my higher self show me what it was. And it was a pretty good kick. It was a pretty good kick in the pants for me, because I was the obstacle, guys. I was the obstacle and the challenge that I had to overcome. It was nothing external. It was partly a problem within myself and a perspective that I had of something that was going on in my life. And I was the obstacle. I was the stumbling block to myself. I know many of you have heard the expression, get out of your own way. I want to say that is so true in my case. I was in my way, and I wasn't just in my way, but I was also in my way and holding on to something from my past that I really felt like I had let go, and I hadn't really let it go. It was when we go through very challenging, difficult, and sometimes traumatic things, we can get into a victim mindset. And the victim mindset is ego-driven, all of it. It really, really is. Because when we are sitting in that spiritual place, and it isn't that we don't have the right to feel that way, we do. All emotions are valid. There's a little wind, guys. I'm hoping it doesn't mess with my audio here. So all of those emotions that we have, they're valid. And we need to give room and space to them. But we also need to, look at ourselves is the lesson that I had to take out of this. And I really want to share that is I kept looking at something the same way, and then I couldn't understand why I couldn't move past it. And it was me. I was literally holding myself to it. And I didn't look at it that way. I was just basically putting all my attention onto the external forces, which was the wrong way to go. So I had a really seriously humbling moment in which I had to take responsibility for my own actions, take responsibility for my own feelings, take responsibility for getting in my own way. And ironically, as soon as I kind of just really opened my heart up to the emotions that I had and I let them out and I kept getting these messages, new perspective, take it, look at things from a new perspective. And I kept thinking, I don't know, I feel like I'm looking at this from every angle. I was looking at it from every angle, my friends, except for inside. So once I did that, once I basically looked and said, okay, I am getting in my own way in the worst possible way. And I'm holding on to this because I feel some kind of way about it. So I had to face up to that. I had to deal with it. And I was able to completely flip it. Thank you, my spirit guides. Thank you, my angels, who helped me so much with it. Because it was I was carrying a heavy burden, you all, that I did not need to carry. And it created a huge obstacle to moving forward for me. It was just like as if you put, in the 10 of Wands, as if you put those up on your back and you're lugging them around. And I didn't even know I was doing it. That's the worst part. But as you step into your purpose and your path, and as we walk more on it, things are going to come up. There's going to be challenges and obstacles, and some of them will be external. That's why we have to be very careful to take our time and identify where is that challenge or obstacle coming from, right? Is it something external that is being brought to us from the universe so that we can pass a test, so that we can learn another lesson, or so that we can divert our path in a slightly different direction? So it took me time, more time probably than I wanted. Be patient with the process. But I was able to identify the obstacle, and it was me, which was the last thing I was looking at, truly. And I'm one of those people, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I have no problem calling myself out at all. I will call myself out on something. I will make myself accountable to myself, okay, and to others for my actions and for what I'm doing in my life. So it was really just very humbling to see that as much as I felt like, ooh, I'm doing really good with this, I'm in a good place, I hold myself accountable, that like you should always kind of take time out if something is not moving in the direction you want it to, and look at yourself and see, can you look at something differently? And especially if you're carrying a weight, and it's like the minute you do release it, you feel that weight lifted, energetically, you feel that shift, and it's beautiful. Like I had such a lighthearted, joyous energy flowing through me after this yesterday that it was just, I could have, like, you see this beautiful place out here, I could have just been doing little cartwheels out here and stuff. It was very freeing. It was very freeing. So in dealing with our challenges and obstacles, identify what they are. If you can't see it in your external environment, kind of look to yourself at that point. Look to yourself, because that might be what it is. It's like this word keeps popping in my head, the blame game, the blame game, the blame game. So, you know, many of us on this healing journey, you know, stuff happens to you, right? Otherwise you wouldn't need to heal it. and I'm not saying it's not true, you know, that sometimes we can kind of point the finger at, you know, whoever we, whether consciously or subconsciously, hold responsible for bringing pain to us. But at the end of the day, it's on us entirely whether we carry that with us or whether we let it go, right? Whether we heal it or whether we let it go. And the minute that we are able to see that the way we view it, so I'll tell you what I did. There was something, and I did not even know this, that I had a victim mentality about. And I felt justified in this, consciously or subconsciously, and I feel like it was partly consciously, even though I don't try and put myself in that category, because I know that is not helpful to me. I was doing it without even being 100% aware that I was doing it. So I changed it, and I was like, you know what? Thank you, my Creator, for basically giving me this lesson that I needed. Like, I looked back at it and I was like, yes, this was crushing, this was traumatic, but I needed this to break myself free, to grow as an individual, and to know myself better, to value myself more. Because had I not gone through this situation, I know I sat there and watched my life, guys, like a movie. I could have had a little bucket of popcorn and been watching the whole thing, because that's how it was rolled past me. It was like, oh, let's take a look at this. Here it is. And you are a cycle repeater. You are repeating. So it was something that had to be done. I had to acknowledge that I was the obstacle to myself. I was the stumbling block to myself. And I flipped the situation and I looked at it with gratitude. You know, I was like, I forgive everything, which I've done before, but I did it in a different way. And I looked at it as, had this not happened to me, I would not be the person that I am now. I would not have that beautiful, unconditional love and understanding that I have, that compassion, right, that I have, and that freedom, as well as valuing myself, which was not something I was doing in the past. So I switched it all up, guys. I took myself out. I'm like, I'm not going to be the obstacle. I'm not going to be my own stumbling block. I'm going to be grateful for what I went through, because I love who I am now. And I would not be who I am now had I not gone through something that was really difficult. So I kind of was able to release it all with love and gratitude, to take responsibility for myself and for holding on to it, and look at it as something to be counted towards my blessings at the end of the day. And I cannot tell you just the sheer, utter feeling of freedom that I had after that. It's like literally I could have just sprouted some wings and flown around. It was that good. So for any of you all that are going through something similar, or really anything, it's kind of like we all go through hard times. You know, we are all in this world together and having our different experiences, but everybody goes through, you know, traumas and difficulties, heartbreaks, you know, all of it, you know, grief, loss. I mean, we all go through it at some point or another. So, you know, wherever you are on your healing journey or in your life, I'm sending you all big hugs and much compassion, love, and understanding, because I get it. We're on this journey differently, but together, okay? So dealing with challenges and obstacles, I wish you all the best of luck with that. Remember, identify it. If it's not in your external world, it's probably something internal. You might need to deal with it. Think about flipping the script and looking at it from a new perspective and differently. It definitely helped me. Like I always say, you know, these videos are just my personal experience that I'm sharing, and I hope it'll be of value to somebody. I wish you all well. Stay safe, Stay healthy, stay hopeful and happy. I'm sending you love, peace, and unity, and I'll talk to you all again next time. Bye-bye.